Hey guys, welcome back to a brand new episode. And this is the first episode after our last event that happened, I think by the time this episode comes out, last month in March. A safe space, one of our very, very first event. In fact, it's our first ever on-ground event. It was so fun. We had Jen, we had Shi Qi, and so many of you guys showed up. And I have to say, I did not expect it to sell out so fast. And the fact that it was sell out and you guys showed up, man, my heart's so full. And of course, this episode is somewhat of a continuation of that in-person session. Nothing was recorded because I wanted everything to feel safe, especially for our participants who came. But one of our guest speaker was Shi Qi, and she is here with me in the studio right now. Hi.
Hello.
Okay, how are you feeling today?
I'm good. I was just so impressed how you suddenly turned that on and could do a whole intro. I was just like, wow. I was admiring you just now, wow, that was, wow, you're so good at it.
For context, Shi Qi and I were just talking about Korean artists that we love. Yeah. It was a way for me to kind of warm you up also. For you to feel comfortable. You feel comfortable now?
I do.
Yeah, thanks for the compliment. Wow, 很sweet. Anyway, so I think to those of you who weren't at the event, you may or may not have heard of Shi Qi. She is a teacher and now content creator as well, and also the co-founder of a card game made in Malaysia. Am I right?
Yes.
Called But Honestly. So we're going to be talking about all of that and more. But first, Shi Qi, I want to get to know you. So for our listeners who are listening right now for the first time, who is this person? I don't know who she is, but I like to get to know her. Tell us about yourself.
Yeah. My name is Shi Qi. I am a teacher. I've been teaching this is my 4th year in teaching. I'm also a content creator, so mostly on TikTok, now kind of a little bit more on Instagram. I've also had this card game, which you talked about.
Yeah.
It's a card game about conversations, vulnerability, bringing people together. Yeah.
Love that. And before we dive into your profession and what you do now, I want to kind of go back in time just a little bit for a quick one. If we could go back in time and you tell us about yourself, what was your childhood like?
I think I grew up very much in front of people.
Okay.
So my dad is very in front of people. So he in church he would be in front
Is
hosting.
he a pastor?
He's not a pastor, but he's very involved in church.
Okay.
And even at work he's always leading.
Yeah.
So I think I saw that growing up. I mimicked that a lot. I learned from that. And so since young I would perform a lot. I did a lot of musicals, plays, public speaking. I was always in front of the stage. I loved that. And I think I was a very emotional kid, emotional teenager. Yeah, I cry all the time. I'm very sensitive. But yeah, I think overall my entire childhood was very wholesome, surrounded by people that really cared for me, really good friends, really good circle. I grew up in Kuching, a very small town.
Yeah.
It was very tight, very homey.
I love that. And you went overseas for your education.
Yes.
And what did you study?
Elementary education.
You studied education?
I did. My education was
education was education. Wait. Was that your pre-U or how does it work? You have to study a foundation first before you go into your degree, or do you mind sharing with us how that works?
So it was direct. So after I finished, I did IG CSEs instead of SKM. So I did IG, and then right after that I went to the US and did a 4-year uni. So in the US you don't need to do a foundation, you can just go straight in.
So there's no college?
No. In the US, college and uni is the same thing.
Oh, really? Oh, okay. Where in the States did you go to?
Oklahoma.
Yeah. Oklahoma?
Yes,
Oklahoma. Cool. And wait, so you came back, 4 years ago?
I came back 3 years ago.
3 years ago. So what made you come back? Want to come back? Or did you not want to come back? Something happened that
I wanted to come back.
You wanted to come back.
Yeah, I came back during COVID.
Smack in the middle of COVID?
Yeah, in the middle. I had to do so many quarantines. When I went back to Kuching 2 weeks, Kuching to KL another 2 weeks.
Yeah.
But I came back because I knew that I always wanted to be in Malaysia. So I did education because I wanted to give back to the people of Malaysia. I want to serve this community. I want to teach in Malaysia because I felt there was a need. So that was always the goal. And I came back very yeah, I knew that my time in the US was short. Like I wasn't going to stay there.
Served its purpose and it's time to come back,
Yeah.
right? So obviously I always do a bit of research about my guest, and I heard your episode with the boys, Ming Han and Ming Yu, on the takeaway table. Okay. Table talk, guys. I still get it wrong until today. Table talk.
I get it wrong too.
Yeah, okay. Not just me. The table talk. And you mentioned that you wanted to be a YouTuber.
I did.
So from wanting to be a YouTuber to being a teacher, I feel like it's a very different leap. So how did that happen? Like, who inspired you to be a teacher? Or was that something that happened during your time before you decided that you want to be a teacher? To be a teacher, tell me.
It was never like gradual like realization that I love teaching. Actually, to this day, I don't know if I really love like teaching. But when I was in Form 5, really just deciding what I wanted to do, then I realized that I wanted to pick something that I felt was fulfilling. Because in my 17-year-old mind, like what you pick to study is like what you're gonna do for the rest of your life, right? So I was like, okay, gotta be smart, like think about so many different things. I really felt like teaching was something that was meaningful. I was good with kids. And I'm very happy that I chose it, even though it's not, YouTube or what I wanted to do.
I mean, technically, you can always still get into YouTube anytime.
Right.
Yeah. You don't need a pass to get in there. You can do it anytime. And the world is your oyster. And I feel like you are kind of doing it now, being a content creator, which we will talk about in a bit. I want to focus a little bit about your career as a teacher first. And I think it's so, I won't say unheard of. Yeah, sure, there's many teachers out there in this world who are doing great things. But I think your approach as a teacher is a little bit more different. I feel like you're that new generation teacher where you also exist in a platform where your students are as well, and you're active just as them. Like, you probably watch the same thing. You guys know the same cool term. I don't know what kids these days say. Oh my God, I have to say kids these days. I'm young too. God damn. But anyway, I need to stop saying that. It reveals my age. But has there been any struggle being a teacher? Was it exactly what you had imagined, or better, or just different?
I think it's harder than I thought it would be.
In what way?
I think before I started actually teaching, my understanding would be I used to volunteer a lot. So in Sunday school or in like the children's hospital. So that was like small groups, right? Yeah. It's like fun, you just play. But when you actually have a syllabus to like teach and like your kids are like acting up, like it's hard. It's hard to get their attention. And sometimes the emotional part of it, like when kids like open up to me, because I'm pretty close to my students, and like me not knowing how to handle those situations can be hard. Yeah.
Is it an intentional decision to want to be close to your students, or it just happened naturally? Because I'm very curious. Because back in school, I don't remember having a teacher like you, like being that close. Maybe to a certain level, but the way you describe your relationship with your student is really refreshing, and I don't think I personally have experienced that. So is that an intentional decision because you felt like you never had it in school? So you want to be able to cultivate that in your time as a teacher?
I think it's quite natural for me. But I will say in a school, you need different kinds of teachers. Yeah. If every teacher is like me, that'll be very, very bad. Like you need some teachers who are like just great with content and like just like really focused. Yeah. But yeah, my approach with kids is just that I love to share my life and I want to know about them. Yeah. I'm very relational that way, and I think that's how I build relationships with them. And I think that works. That's why they open up a lot to me.
I love it. And obviously you are known to be the teacher on TikTok.
Yeah.
And how did that start? Like, how did you decide to start doing content like that? I want to know the thought process.
Yeah.
Or was it an accidental thing that brought you here?
Okay, so I never really used TikTok. Okay, and then I really rarely use TikTok. And then I think after everything opened in Malaysia, I could finally go home, right? So I just happened to download TikTok. And
go home as in Kuching?
Go home to Kuching, correct, from KL. Because like when I moved back to KL from the States, the borders were closed. So I couldn't go home, even though I was so near home. And so borders open, I made one video about me going back to Kuching. And then my TikTok notifications were off. But then suddenly, like when I checked back in, it went viral, 100K views. And I was like, what? This is my like second video I've ever made on TikTok.
Oh my God.
And I was like, no freaking way. And so I thought, okay, maybe I should keep trying to make different kinds of content. So I tried different things, didn't really work. So I tried content with my students. And then I realized, okay, people want to watch this. And I did, it was fun, I just go to school and like dance with them or like do something silly with them. And so, yeah, that's how it started.
I love that. Actually, yesterday I put up a story to get people to ask you questions. I got a lot of questions, and this one is related to what you've just said, creating content with your students. So this is from someone who's also a teacher. So she says, from one educator to another, have you experienced any feedback or backlash with your content featuring the young kids? And how did their parents take it? Which I'm sure is something that a lot of people are thinking about.
Yeah.
So we'll hear it for the first time. Okay, tell us.
I'm very grateful that the parents of my students are very supportive. They love my TikTok. They share it with their friends and they like tell me about it. They're like, hey, like, I see your videos. And they love it when their kids are featured on it. So yeah, very grateful for that. I think the only backlash that I get is people who are not from my school or just outsider point of view, telling me that I shouldn't do this.
Yeah.
And I did like wonder for a moment if like I should keep doing it, but I'm grateful that like the parents are supportive, the kids enjoy it. So.
And you get their consent and it's like a mutual agreement that it's okay.
Yeah, the parents are aware, correct.
I love that. I think the parents of the kids that you're currently teaching are also a new gen of parents.
Yes.
It's not our parents' generation where they never had the exposure to internet. In fact, maybe this new... How young are their parents? 30s?
Ooh.
Really?
Yeah, late 30s.
No way. That's not that far from us, actually, if you think about it.
Yeah.
So I think it's so interesting and refreshing to see how really everything is just slowly changing with the internet era, right? Okay, so yes, to those of you guys who are curious, there's no backlash. It's just curious minds and people who are wondering. And I think it really depends on the approach. And if all parties are okay, I don't see a problem with that, right?
Yeah.
Cool. Another question, very interesting. Does your school know that you're creating content involving your students?
Yes, they are fully aware. In fact, actually, when I started, I didn't tell my school, but they found out.
Obviously,
they
on
found out.
The internet.
Yeah, it's really funny. And then, so my school is pretty big. We have a marketing department.
Okay.
And then the marketing lead, one day my principal was like, the marketing lead wants to meet you. And I'm like, oh shit. Like,
you thought you were in trouble.
Yeah, I thought like, oh no. And it turns out she's like, I love your TikTok. And like, please help us like think of like marketing ideas for school. And I was like, yeah, sure. And so I actually partner with my school and I like create content for the school.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah, my school is very supportive, which I'm very grateful for.
Yeah.
I didn't expect that.
Yeah. Wait, so do you teach, okay, you don't have to reveal the location because obviously privacy reasons, but do you teach in a government school or international school or private school? I'm not sure how.
It's a private school.
Private school.
Yeah, so Malaysian syllabus, but run privately.
Right, okay. And another question actually is, do you get paid well as a teacher?
Well, not very. I think the industry average is just like very underpaid.
Right, so teachers are underpaid, yeah.
Yeah, I really believe so. And in the private school sector, the starting pay is fine, but then the increments are not so great.
Right.
So yeah, a lot of teachers are struggling. A lot of my friends, they have to succumb to like tutoring outside or like outside jobs. So it's tough. It's tough for teachers. Yeah.
I can only imagine. And the hours are long. And sometimes you bring the burden back home because you hold so much responsibility. You're pretty much raising children, even though it's not your own, right? Do you feel that way?
Yeah, I think a lot of my teacher friends as well, like, when you do a normal job and you want to quit, then you can just quit, right? You just pass on whatever you're doing to someone else.
Yeah.
But like as a teacher, it's different. You cannot just like up and quit.
Yeah.
Like even if you're not happy with your role, whatever, you are thinking about the child's development, you're thinking about their relationship, your relationship with them. So it's very different from a regular job.
I can only imagine. And have you had the thought of quitting ever? Because I'm sure it's not easy. And you are relatively young as well. And you're still going through life as it is, right? So have you had that thought of, I don't think I can do this?
Sometimes. Actually, I didn't want to take this job.
Like this current job? Okay.
After I came back from the States, I was like, I want to work with kids, but not in education. But somehow the door just opened and I'm like, here again. Every time I try to leave education, like the door reopens. So yeah, I think I've like come to accept that like this is my place. And
I don't think your students will let you go. So
Yeah.
I feel like they're so attached to you.
I'm
Yeah.
very attached to them too. Like,
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so many questions about you being a teacher, and I'm curious as well. How do you remain so patient dealing with kids? I think coming from someone like me, I don't think I have the patience. And a lot of people are curious as well. How do you stay there when you're really actually upset and they're just like making fun, like emotional damage? How do you do that? I love that video, by the way.
Oh my God. Sometimes I really get upset, but like I'm learning to like not take it personally. Because I think I've been a child before, and like when I'm just like acting silly, I just want to have fun, and actually it means that I'm listening to my teacher. I am kind of engaged in the class.
Yeah.
So I'm not patient all the time. Sometimes I do get really angry. I'm like, you stop talking right now, or I'm gonna stop teaching. So I'm just gonna stare at you until you stop talking. And then like after 5 minutes, then they like are silent. It's a learning process.
Yeah.
Learning how to like deviate different techniques to keep them in check instead of getting upset. Still learning.
I noticed something in your emotional damage video.
Yeah.
You did waterfall. So what is that?
So it's a technique that you can use if you are, volunteering or teaching kids, whatever. So I say waterfall, and then they respond by saying shh. And then I'm like, okay, after you say that, you have to be quiet. So then we like role play, we practice a few rounds, and then like I actually use it in the middle of lessons to catch their attention.
Is it an effective cue now? Every time it works? Oh,
I mean, it works, but sometimes I have to say it again. Oh, not everybody's doing it. Let's do it again. That kind of thing.
Okay, now I know what to do when I'm arguing with somebody. Waterfall. Okay, jokes aside. Okay, so now, Shi Qi, you are a teacher and also a content creator. Before we talk about that, I want to know, how did it blow up? Like from how many followers to what, 200,000 now? It's not easy getting 200,000 followers on any platform. Do you remember that what's the word? That switch, that day that it blew up? And how was that like for you?
Oh, okay. So it started on TikTok.
Okay.
On TikTok, I think my goal, so I started TikTok last January.
Girl.
Yeah, super crazy. And then within my goal was like, okay, this year I want to hit 100K on TikTok. And in a few months I hit 100K, and then slowly TikTok is super crazy. You can gain 100K in like 1-2 months.
Yeah, I know TikTok is insane.
Is so and so just that like at first every hit was like a dopamine rush. Like I can't believe it, 100K, 200K, 300K.
Yeah. How many Ks now?
Right now I am at 600K on TikTok.
Girl,
amazing. It's crazy. Yeah. So yeah, I'm still very amazed all the time.
Yeah.
But like, I just feel like, okay, next goal, like how far
what's
can
next?
I go?
Yeah.
But the first time my students bought a cake for me, they noticed, I didn't even tell them that I hit 100K.
Oh, wow.
They noticed they
bought
a cake for me and celebrated it with me in school. It was very sweet.
Oh, I love that. I love the community that you have with your students, that relationship that you have. I think is wonderful. And have you ever thought about quitting being a teacher and be a full-time content creator?
I feel like I've gotten asked this a lot. I've thought about it, but I don't think I would do that for now.
Yeah.
Just because I feel like teaching is something that I do enjoy. I like being with my kids. I feel like that is very meaningful.
Yeah.
It's not really about the pay or the job anymore. It's just about like the relationship I have with my students. I really want to see them grow up,
like
honestly.
You say, it's the relationship, right?
And like my first batch of students, they are graduating Form 5 this year. So I want to see that, I want to be a part of their lives. And so, no, I don't think I would quit anytime soon.
And speaking of which, now that you've mentioned that, what is the most rewarding part of being a teacher? Is it that? Watching them grow? And what is it for you? The most rewarding?
Most rewarding.
Or the ones that you've experienced, that you felt and you remember?
Yeah. I think like my first year teaching, I was teaching in the US. It was a primary 1 class. And there was this boy, first day of school, he was a lot to handle. He was, I think he didn't really go to kindergarten. And so school was very new to him. Yeah, at home he can run around, that's fine. But in school you can't do that. So he was having a really tough time throwing things on my class, just like And it's my first year teaching, and I was freaking out. I was like, oh my God, this kid, I don't know how to handle him. I would like sit with him and cry, like, please tell me how.
Oh my God.
It was bad. But at the end of the school year, I just saw how he progressed, and like, we became really close. He was like so much better, with his attitude and behavior in class.
Yeah.
And just at the end, I saw that he really enjoyed school.
Yeah.
And so I think that was growth for me and for him. I was glad to be a part of that process.
Oh man, that's so wonderful. And not everyone gets to experience that. Okay, maybe I also want to be a teacher. Just kidding. I don't think I can. Anyway, okay. So, wow, I think I learned so much just hearing your perspective about being a teacher. I think it's so refreshing. I don't think I've ever interviewed a teacher ever, not even my own teacher. Who was your role model growing up? Was it a teacher that inspired you to be one as well?
I did have very good teachers, and I'm grateful for that. I think because I went to an international school, I think the school system is slightly different.
Yeah.
Where we are very close to our teachers. We like grab coffee with them.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and like we talk to them about our problems. And so I think that was the environment that I learned in. And so it was easy for me to like mirror that as a teacher.
Yeah.
Very grateful for them.
Man, I wish I can say the same, but my experience in school, not like that. I mean, I went to a Kebangsaan school. Not to say that school was bad, but no, I think I just remember the teachers coming into class and just kind of like tell us to open books and read yourself, practice.
They are those kind of teachers for sure.
Yeah, they are. I don't know if it's what you get what you pay for because it's free education, but international school is not cheap, to be very honest.
Because it's small, like your classes are very small, so it's easier to form relationships.
We have like 40, 50 people.
Correct.
In class. So
but I think even in my primary school, I went to a Chinese school, like a public school as well. My teacher would invite us over for Chinese New Year.
Right.
Which is like very cute also.
To their house.
To their house.
Okay, fair. I think I have some teachers like that as well. Okay, fair. I think I don't remember the goal. Maybe I don't remember. But anyway, this may be too long. So, yes. So apart from being a teacher, there's also your card game that we played during the event. If you guys came to the event, you would have experienced, but honestly, card game. A lot of people want to know, although I kind of already know, but for our audience, who are listening for the first time, who has played the card game and didn't know, Shi Qi is actually one of the co-creator. How did the card game come about?
I moved to KL during the pandemic, so it was really hard to make friends. Didn't really have a community, and my only like close friend was my best friend in London.
Yeah.
So like I'll call her a lot, text her a lot, and we realized that, or for me, I realized that vulnerability was something that I struggled with, and I really wanted to have that with different friends in my like physical surrounding. So I created this because I thought it was something that could help me actually have conversations, meet people, form deeper relationships with others.
And I love how it came about, and everything just fell into place for you. And I think is so apt in the things that you do. You're also teaching people. So do you teach this in class, being vulnerable?
Yeah.
Oh my God, we forgot to ask you this. I feel like when I found out about this, about Shi Qi, I was blown away. Like, what was I doing when I was like 25, right? You started the syllabus yourself. You requested the school to have the syllabus that you're currently teaching. Am I right?
Yeah.
Do you mind telling us about that?
Yeah. So I proposed to my school that we needed some life skills classes. And so my school agreed. And so I created the whole syllabus for my school because I felt like it was something that was necessary for the kids. So we do a lot of we talk about politics, we talk about sex education, internet safety,
mental
health. Yeah.
So those are the subjects that you teach. It's not the conventional science, physics.
I came in teaching that, but I was like, I don't want to teach this. So I have to propose to my school, please let me teach someone else, something else.
You see, there's a will, there's a way. Yeah. You can create a change yourself if you don't see the change, right? I love that so much. So when I found out about that, I'm like, you're right. Actually, I did something like that in school as a student. It reminded me of my time back in I was in a brand new school. I really loved playing softball at the time, but there's no softball club, clubs. And I told the pengetua, I said, Cikgu, saya nak main softball, saya nak jadi president. Boleh I start something? And I also started a club myself.
Wow.
But not a syllabus like you lah,
But it's all about starting, wanting, seeing the gap and then
taking the initiative yourself. And I think that's so wonderful. And I hope this story would inspire you in some ways. If you feel like you're so stuck in whatever that you're doing, know that the change can come from you also. You don't have to wait for it to happen. Because if you waited for someone to start a syllabus that you want to teach, it probably won't happen till if you waited till today. Right? You could be waiting for a lifetime and it still won't happen. Okay, coming back to the card game, you mentioned that you struggled with being vulnerable. What is it that you struggle with?
I feel like there are like parts of myself that I'm afraid that other people will see and then judge me, or see and then dislike me. Ultimately, like dislike me lah. If you judge me, you still like me, I think I'm okay. I just don't want to be disliked. I think that's the core fear of mine. So vulnerability is hard because I don't want to expose myself in a negative way. Negative
for you.
Right.
Because I may not see it as negative, right?
So like a lot of fear there.
And I remember you said this during the event as well. Like if someone sees you as an intelligent version of you, you will want to be intelligent to them. Can you break that down again for us? I forgot what exactly you said.
So I feel like I give you what you want.
Yes, you said this. Could you break it down for us?
Like, so for example, even on a very surface level, to my students, I'm like this funny, silly teacher. So I'm like that in school. Yeah. With my friends, I have different groups of friends, right? With this girl friends, I'm like really, I joke a lot. So I'm like, this girl friends, I'm like very serious and we talk about something. So I like morph myself into
something
you want, depending on the situation, depending on the friend group.
So I think I know your answer to my next question. Are you a people pleaser?
Yes, I am. So
at what point did you realize that you are people pleasing?
Oh, I think I realized since I was a teenager. Like I knew that I'm a yes man. I just want you to like me. I think it's because it validated me, made me feel a certain way, made me feel special. So I was very keen on doing that.
And I mean, I'm a people pleaser myself. I want to give you a fist bump because we both are. And in the beginning, it was nice because when I people please, I feel like I have accomplished something because I made that other person believe what I wanted them to believe, even though it could not be entirely true, or if I wanted to say no, but I said yes because that yes would make them happy, but not myself, right? So I think being a people pleaser, for me, it has, how do I put this, done more damage to myself than good. And is that the same for you? Or has it been totally okay for you?
No, like I think every people pleaser tell you that
but you never know. You never know. So yeah, I want to ask.
It's like, man, I think I've learned as I've grown to set firm boundaries and to say no when I don't want to do things. It's a learning process.
It's so hard.
It's like I had to have been pushed so far until I was like so angry and so done until a burst. I'm like, I'm out, like I'm done, like goodbye. So now I'm learning that I don't have to reach that like angry point. Yeah. Should have set my boundaries first.
And why do you think we people please? Like for you?
I think...
What was it for you that you people please? I have my story, but tell me yours.
The core desire to be liked, to give people what they want because that would make us look good or make them think well of us.
Because a lot of people say that who we are today has a lot to do with our childhood.
Yes.
But then you mentioned that your childhood is so wholesome and your family are so together. So I'm curious, like, where did that come from? Like, at what point of your childhood that this happened, that you need to like people? Because everyone likes you and you are so loved, right? You mentioned. So it was not from your family. It was
I think for my family, for sure. I'm the oldest of 3.
Okay.
And my parents, especially my dad, I think very like performance driven. It's a very like overachiever kind of vibe. And so I felt that projection over me. Very like I cared a lot about what people thought of me. My dad would always say like, don't shame the family name. Like, like in the
what's your family name?
Ting. Like don't shame me, like you are Ting. like don't shame Jesus, you're a Christian. Like all these like, oh my God, like say. And so it's like ingrained in me, like, okay, I have a reputation to keep. I want to be perceived a certain way.
Yeah, makes sense. So you need to uphold the name and not fuck up.
Yeah.
So you need to be liked. Otherwise, you're technically fucking up. Am I
And
right?
yeah. And also it like, made me feel good. Like,
Yeah.
because I was so liked as a
Yeah.
child, like naturally. When I didn't get it, then like, I was like, who am I? Like, where's my identity?
Yeah.
I placed it so much on the external validation of other people. So I kept craving for it. Yeah.
So how do you draw boundaries now? How do you draw the line in the sand? How do you say no if it's something that you really don't want to do, but that person is just so persuasive? And I'm sure we've experienced
Yeah.
it. It's hard.
You want to know the truth? Sometimes I just ghost them. I don't know how to reply. It's so bad. I just don't reply. But I think I'm better at like saying no without having to explain myself. So I'm like, oh, I don't think this is a good fit for me and I don't want to do that. But thank you so much for asking.
And then sometimes they ask, may I know why? I'm like, wow, stop asking. I already
I get
say
you.
no.
Yeah.
Okay. I struggle so much with saying no growing up.
Why?
Why? Because I'm afraid. I think for me, it's a little bit different. My upbringing is somewhat of the opposite of yours. I wouldn't say it's wholesome. I would say it's the opposite of wholesome. I was alone most of the time. Parents weren't around. So I people please because I'm so afraid of saying the wrong thing, then they will walk away. See, it's so different, right? Like we can be experiencing the same thing, but the root of how it came about is so different. So for me, I have a fear of abandonment, very bad one. It's a lot better now after going for therapy, but for me growing up, I always thought it's my fault that my parents were not together because, I come from a broken family, right? So I've always thought it's my fault. I always thought it's something that I said. So growing up, I always make sure I say the right thing so that the person will not walk away, so that I can keep them closer. But in doing that, I lose a little bit of myself every single time, right? And then until I completely lose myself and I just don't know, like you said, I don't know where I am now. Who I am? Well, what am I doing? Like, why do I feel this way and I don't feel good about myself? So yeah, that's, I think, why I people please. Very scared to offend people because when they get offended, then I get cut off in some ways. So yeah, that's like my root of my story.
Yeah.
Don't know. I feel like we can relate, but at the same time, not so much because it's
interesting because the cause is different, but like the
Yeah.
way we react to the situation may be quite similar.
Exactly. So if I think a lot of you guys who are listening right now could also relate to our stories, perhaps like learning how to say no could be one of the hardest thing. Instead of telling you that oh, we're better at it now, maybe we can share a little bit about how we are better at saying no. How do we not succumb into people's expectation or ideas of us? How do you do it? Instead of ghosting, don't say ghosting. I mean, it's
That's
an
such a
easy
terrible-
solution. It's
it
an easy
is.
way out. I've done it before.
But it's because like I cannot face it.
Correct.
So I just like run away. I
Yeah.
don't want to like deal with it.
Yeah, but then when you run away also, you don't feel great because
Correct.
it's just at the back of your head bugging you, right?
Correct.
I can share how I say no now. I think I have to sit with the discomfort. I have to learn to sit with the discomfort because I know saying no for me is not easy. I know for some people it's so easy.
Yes.
Like for them it's second nature. If I don't like it, no problem. Just say no. What's the big deal? But for me, saying yes is easier than saying no, right? So for me, in therapy, I've learned that in order for me to learn to draw my boundaries, I have to sit in it with my discomfort. I have to go through that discomfort. Otherwise, I'll just end up saying yes.
So is that discomfort like that fear of
Yeah, that fear of not being
Abandonment or-
liked, the fear of that abandonment. I have to sit through it. Like even right now, if let's say, I don't know, for example, if I invited you on my show and you said no, I'll just have to be okay with that. Okay. Discomfort. For example. Yeah. That's for me. That's how I learn. And again, it's like a muscle. You have to keep doing it. You won't get it right the first time. My first no and my 10th no feels very different.
Correct.
Right? It's like a muscle. Like when you do a squat, your first squat, maybe you can only lift, maybe just body weight. You can't even do a 5 kilo. But now I can do 25 kilo with no problem because it takes practice over and over again. So for me, my tool, I always like to say my tool is to sit with the discomfort and to know that nothing's going to change. I take it so personally. I'm so worried that people will hate me for saying no to a job and they will never find me again, for example.
Yeah.
But that's not the truth sometimes. We play it so much in our heads that it really is in reality, right? Yeah, what about you now?
I think because my core is to want people to like me, it would be to like not care if they don't like me. So like really letting go of control of people's perception of me.
Yeah.
So if I say no and that causes you to dislike me, then you dislike me.
Yeah.
Because like I cannot be so worked up and like because I'm so obsessed with like getting you to like me and getting that validation that I give up my needs.
Yeah.
So just being very intentional. Okay, it's fine. It's fine. You don't like me. I don't care. I mean, I care a little bit.
I care, but I don't care.
I shouldn't care that much. Like telling myself that it doesn't matter.
Yeah, self-soothe ourselves, right? It's so important. I was just going through that recently. So there's this job that reached out to me. And you know how content creating nowadays, sometimes they don't pay, but they ask for like 1,000,001 things. And it was an opportunity that I was excited about, but I was also disappointed that it was not a paying job and they're asking for a lot. So I had to say no. But in saying no, part of me also felt like I've lost an opportunity. You know what I mean?
Yes,
I think you know
I do,
exactly what I'm
100%.
talking about. So, it was so uncomfortable. I think for days and days, it kept replaying in my head. Should I have just said yes and just gone with it?
Yeah.
And then I see other people doing it. Oh, wait. Oh my God. If they do it, I should have just done it. Like just the amount of scenarios it just plays in my head over and over and over again. It's so tiring. So yeah, I think what you've just said, learning to let go is so important. It's not easy. Well, we'll get better at it. So those two things from Shi Qi is learning to let go. You just gotta let go, guys. Just let your hands go. Stop gripping it. And the other one for me is in the process of that, you're gonna have to sit with your discomfort. Yeah, it's hard, but we'll learn. Every day we learn. Okay? Okay. Wow. We talked about ourselves now, but remember the first time I met you in person was at Bean Brothers?
Yes.
For the event.
Yeah.
And then Bella reminded me about our conversation where we talked about our past selves. I know you're not that old, so your past self is maybe where you're in high school, maybe. So the Shi Qi 5 years ago versus the Shi Qi now, what has changed and what remained the same?
5 years ago. I'm trying to think.
Take your time. How old were you 5 years ago?
5 years ago, I was 21. So freshly graduated. I think I felt very out of place actually when I was in the US because I didn't really have a community. I just felt very foreign.
Yeah.
And I felt like part of the group my whole life and then suddenly I wasn't. And so I wasn't used to that. I think I was very ambitious, but I wasn't where I wanted to be. And so I was like not fully content, always not really striving also. Sometimes when I'm not content, I just like don't do anything about it. You just feel like demotivated, like, you know, I'm not really myself. Now I feel like I am very happy to say that I feel like I've accomplished a lot of things that I wanted to. Like 5 years ago, I'll be like, no way I'm here. No way I'm doing the things I'm doing now. I'll be very proud of myself.
Yeah.
So I think I've grown career-wise. I've grown in maturity, grown in self-awareness, like honest with myself. I'm very honest with myself. Like I call myself out all the time.
That's
My friends are like, yeah, I'm not worried about you being honest with yourself, but I'm worried about doing something about it. Like you know what to do. You just gotta do it.
I love that. And there's just so much awareness. And I think I wish I had that awareness when I was younger. But I think that's the thing, right? All of us have different paths. So I feel like all of us will eventually get there if we put in the work. So I feel like we should not compare our timelines with other people. I think sometimes comparison can be good. It could be a form of motivator, I feel. But when it gets to you too much, you feel like, why I'm not living the life that person is living? That's when it gets toxic, right? But do you compare yourselves with your peers?
Yeah, because I'm like such an overachiever. Like I just want to be better and better and better. So I keep thinking of like how I can reach to like this person's level, or how can I do as well as this person. And it gets to me sometimes because
especially with social media.
Right. Oh, it's crazy because everything is there for you. The numbers are there.
Yeah.
Right. The followers, the likes, the comments, everything is there. The brands that you work with, everything is there. And so it's so easy to compare your portfolio with someone else's. Because this is so new to me, I feel like I'm still learning how to manage that because I've never like experienced or have to encounter anything like this before. So yeah, I'm still learning. Yeah.
So tell me, like, what has changed for you now that you are a content creator? I feel like your interview with Table Talk, your interview with Table Talk, you were also at a different juncture of your life at the time, even though it's such a short.
Very beginning content creator, very, very new.
Just beginning. And now, what has changed the most for you?
I am doing content creating more full-time-ish now. That's one. I feel like, wow, so many things that I don't even know where to start. Like number one, content creating has really opened so many doors for me. I got to meet a lot of different people.
The brands that you work with.
Correct. And brands that I would never imagine I would know I exist.
Coach?
Like Coach. Yeah, Coach is something. Everyone's like, oh my God, you're working with Coach. I'm like, yeah, I don't know how. Why would they work with me? Like, I'm not a fashion person. Like,
shout out to Rachel.
Yeah, thank you, Rachel. And I get to like share the stage with you or like share the stage with Jen. Like all these things are so, I would never
out of this world for a younger
me.
Shi Qi.
Yeah.
The younger Shi Qi.
So I'm very, very grateful for that. I'm making more money now. I think that's like very real. I'm able to like buy my first car, which I'm so excited.
Congratulations!
It's so big for me. I never imagined that I would be able to like buy a car.
Yeah.
So
are you gonna give me a ride after this?
I will for sure. I'll be so happy to. And so those are the great things.
Yeah.
But the not so great things, I didn't realize how lonely it would be content creating.
Yeah.
Now that I'm spending more time doing this and less time at school with my students, I feel the shift. Because usually my days are filled with people. I'm with kids all the time.
Yes.
And like it's fun, it's crazy, it's chaotic. And then I'm suddenly like in my room, like filming and editing.
Thinking of ideas by yourself.
And so that's different. Still learning how to like navigate that change.
So I picked up something. You said shift. So meaning you were a full-time teacher and now you're not?
So I was full-time. Now I'm like hybrid-ish. So like I don't have as many teaching hours. So I get a little bit more flexibility to do other things.
So I think a lot of people actually are also curious. What's your day-to-day like as a content creator and teacher? Like on what days do you teach, on what days do you not? And tell us.
Yeah, so I go in and teach on Mondays and Wednesdays.
Okay.
Yeah, those are my actually teaching days. And then the other hours I work on school stuff, but it's flexi hour. So because it's flexi hour, I can arrange it myself. And then I can like go and do other things with like, but honestly, or like content. Yeah.
Right. So now you're a part-time teaching.
Yes.
A part-time
Part-time-ish.
Part-time.
Part-time-ish.
Hybrid. Cool. Yeah. Okay. So we are supposed to play the card game for a bit as part of the conversation. I think for you guys to also have a idea of what you can expect with the card game. Even though we're playing it, the way you play it, when you play it, is going to be different as well. So I know there's 3 levels. I brought the card with me. Thank you, by the way. She gifted me one. I know there's 3 levels. Should we just skip to level 3?
Yeah, let's do it. It's gonna be
Bring it
intense.
on. Okay, so how do we do this? Walk
level
me
3
through
is
it.
the
red one, I remember. Okay, there we go. Playing with the founder. Okay, hey, first time, you know. Okay. So how many times have you played this?
A million times. I like know all the questions by heart.
Oh, really? Okay, cool.
Okay, you can just pick a
Pick
card.
one. I pick one?
Yeah.
Okay, and then you pick one.
Okay.
Is that right? Is that how you play?
So you pick one and then you answer first.
Oh, okay,
and then
okay.
later.
Oh my God!
What
So
does it say?
hard! What the heck? What is the most hurtful thing you have said to someone? Wow! Who came up with this question? Oh, I have to think. Oh, what is the most hurtful thing I have said to someone? I don't want you in my life. I think that can be very hurtful. Yeah.
The person did not think the same way about you.
Yeah. And it's to someone who's very, very close to me. Yeah. I don't know. First card, cut me some slack, you know? Wow, first card so difficult. Okay, now your turn.
When was the last time you broke down in front of another person? What was the reason? Ooh.
You're shooting yourself in the foot. I see your question so hard.
Yeah, I tell you, I hate answering my own cards because they're so exposing. I cried yesterday in front of someone because I felt like this person wasn't spending enough time with me.
Yeah.
And I was really I didn't say anything about it for the longest time because I felt like I want to respect this person's time and their schedule, and they're really, really busy. But
And you broke
down. We had a conversation, and then someone was saying how they had a conversation with someone else about how
you were.
Yeah, about how maybe I would care about it. And then suddenly I just cry in the middle of the food court as you're eating, you know, out of the blue. And then I was sobbing, and I was I didn't realize I cared so much.
Yeah.
But my tears showed me that, I do care.
Sometimes our body knows better than our minds. No, really, really. That's what my therapist tells me.
It's true.
Okay, next question. Are you very scared? Do I need to take the top one?
You can take any.
Yeah, just go with the flow lah. Oh, shit. Wow. At what point in your life was your mental health at its worst? What happened? God, this is trauma playback, you know? I literally had therapy 2 days ago, and I did this thing called brain spotting, and I had migraine for the rest of the day. My brain was doing so much work. So the point that I was in my mental health was at its worst was, I think, when I was about end of 23 or 24 years old. I think I shared this as well, that the person that was supposed to take care of me kind of ran away and left my life, and I was left with all of his debts and everything. I had no money for school because the person was supposed to be funding school. And my car was being towed away midway when I was driving to class because apparently it wasn't paid and I didn't know, so the bank had to take it back. I came home one day and the house was locked because the person didn't pay for rent, and I didn't know as well. And I was being kept in the dark, and everything was just being taken away from me within days. And from thinking that I had a normal life to going to absolutely nothing. No home, no money for school. And at the time I was not working because I was still in school, right? I graduated quite late also because of this reason, financial reasons, that I couldn't afford school. So I had to delay my semester. I didn't want to stop school entirely, but I took lesser subjects every sem so that I can pay, because I had just enough for say 2 subjects per semester. So that's why I ended up graduating way later than my peers. So at that time when I was pretty much left with nothing, it was the worst time of my life. I feel like I have never been that low ever. I wanted to take my own life. I was at the brink of depression, I guess, but I didn't know that I was, because I was in survival mode the moment that I knew that I needed to survive. Yeah, I remember I was in this bedroom that was rented to me because I was begging for a place to stay, because I was homeless for weeks and months. A friend of someone's friend and someone's friend was nice enough to kind of borrow me their empty condo. When I say empty, right, there's no furniture even, guys. There's absolutely no furniture. So you can imagine a condo, 2-bedroom condo with absolutely no furniture, nothing, completely bare. I was just there with my luggage with 2 black plastic bags, trash bags where I put all my clothes in because I have to rush to move out. And I was just sitting on the floor crying to Jesus Christ. I was angry at him. I said, Jesus, God, why you put me here? What did I do that's so bad that I deserve this? That was the lowest. But I can talk about it now without breaking down and cry, because I feel like I'm in a much, much better place now, and I'm forever grateful for that. But that was the worst. Yeah.
That's a lot, and you've grown so much, and your life has changed so much.
That's why buying my own home, being able to afford my first home, meant so much, because when I had absolutely nothing, that was where I was. And in about how many years? 7 years, 8 years, I managed to save up enough to finally buy my own home. So like it meant so much more to me.
Yeah, that's huge. I'm so
Yeah.
happy for you.
Thank you. Now you can take the card next.
When was the last time you lost something or someone dear to you?
Oh.
I am grateful that I've never really experienced the death of a close one yet in my life. But I would say the loss of a friendship is like really, really hard. It's I remember in uni.
Yeah.
So I was like looking for that community, right? And so I had this like really, really, really good friend. Like sleep over all the time, would share clothes, like very close girlfriend. And then out of the blue, she just like decided that she didn't want to hang out with me anymore. So she had private Instagram and then she like wrote really mean things about me. And then she suddenly texted me and say, hey, I don't want to hang out with you today. Like, I'm so done with you. And just like a lot of like things that happened behind the scenes. And I think that triggered my trauma as to like why I'm afraid people like would know the real me, because I felt like I showed her
the real
me that like not everyone had access to. And then she saw it and didn't like it. So yeah, the loss of that friendship trickled, and like the whole friend group was like not my friend anymore, not friends with me anymore. So that was tough. It was really, really hard. I think I cried a lot.
People don't talk about this, you know. The loss of a friendship is just as painful as the loss of a romantic relationship. Like, if you still feel like a breakup.
It does.
Or worse.
It does.
Because, no, I don't know how to explain this. We talked about this before as well. Like, I've lost friendship as well, and it's painful. And sometimes you think back, I would still cry.
Because you don't expect that from friendships as much. Like, like you just think sometimes relationship end.
Yeah.
But you don't really think sometimes friendship will end. Like,
and we don't know how to manage it because nobody really talks about that.
Yeah.
Guys, this is real. We are not scripted, okay, this one. Oh dear. Wow. Don't dare to answer. Have you ever been in a toxic relationship or friendship? This is something that I've never talked about. I was in a relationship when I was in high school, 17 years old, and I was physically abused. So yes, it was a toxic relationship, very much so toxic that I couldn't get out of. It's too long of a story, but I'm gonna cut it short. I was abused. I was punched in the face. I remember going to tuition. Bio tuition in my friend's house. You know, last time, right, you go tuition, you invite a teacher to your friend's house, and then like you invite 4 of your other friends to come to tuition together. So I forgot her name, but I went for my bio tuition, and everyone was looking at me. Oh my God, Magdalene, they call me Magdalene at the time. Magdalene, what happened to your face? And I said, I fell down. But you can't possibly fall down on your cheeks. You know what I'm saying? Like, how to fall down on your cheeks until bengkak like that? It's just not possible. I think they knew. My friend after class I don't remember, but she asked me, do you really fall? And I didn't have the courage to tell her because like what can happen? I don't know. I was like 16, 17 years old. But yeah, that guy had major anger issues and punched me, kicked me. There was one time he slapped me so hard in the car that my face slammed straight to the window on the side, but I could not leave. So now when people tell me that they're in an physically abusive relationship and they cannot leave, I actually can empathize because there's just so much fear. The abuser actually instills so much fear in you that the moment you leave, you think you will actually die. So the fear of staying is not as much as the fear of leaving, if that makes sense. But I managed to get out of that, thank goodness. It's unfortunate that I had to experience that, but because of that experience also, I know what it looks like, what I don't deserve. Yeah. It so many things because I didn't grow up with a role model. I don't have that. Yeah. Well, I see the question very difficult.
It's good.
Okay, your turn. No, thanks for listening. Also, if you guys are you're currently in an abusive relationship where your partner is hurting you physically or in any way, please tell someone. Like, don't keep it to yourself because there will be no end if you do. And the only way it can end is if you tell yourself and find help. Yeah, I really want to reiterate that because I was 17.
Yeah. That is crazy.
Yes, tell me. What's your question?
What is the most painful lesson you've learned? How has it changed who you are today?
Oh.
Painful lesson. I think I made a lot of like what I would call bad choices that were against my how I felt. So I didn't listen to my body. I didn't listen to what like I knew I should have done. I was seeing this person and I think I was giving a lot of myself that I didn't want to. And it's like people pleasing. I just wanted to please this person so much. I just wanted to feel loved so much. And so I gave away parts of myself that I didn't want to. Not just shouldn't, but I didn't want to. I didn't even, like it was, and then it was a lot of like disgust and anger and resentment at myself.
At yourself.
And so I had to like go through therapy. I couldn't forgive this person because I held him accountable for like what he did, but I didn't realize that I gave this person access to me.
Enabled something.
Yeah.
Right.
And like it came from a place of like people pleasing. It came from a place of like seeking to be loved. And that was hard. I wish that I didn't do that. But yeah, that's why I set firmer boundaries now.
I love that. I mean, I don't love what you had to experience, but I love that you've learned so much from it and it's also shaped you in the person that you are today. I really do believe that everything that happens to us, except if it's physical abuse, you should not go through that. But everything that happens to us will always teach us a lesson, right?
Right.
We are down to our final card each. So action means what,
So actually it's something that we do together, but you can see if it's suitable for today. You can,
I'll just see. Okay, I think it is.
Okay.
We'll skip all the actions.
Okay. Because I think I didn't shuffle it well.
No, it's fine. Okay. Oh, you're very scared. I'm very scared to open. Are you?
I feel like you get a lot of like
that really hit hard with my season currently. I need to go back and play with Can you play with yourself?
Yeah.
Oh,
so what I do is I play and I write like journal.
Oh, so it's like a journal prompt.
You can use that as that.
Okay, so if you are single, you have no friends, you can play this with yourself also, okay? All right, this question is, when was the last time you feel betrayed? Well, don't think I should go into details because it's very personal. But at the same time, I feel like in the recent few months, like this season of my life, I don't think I have felt betrayal, which I think is a good thing. I don't think I need to have an answer for every card, right? And I have been betrayed before in my life, but the last time was too long ago that I actually don't remember much, and I don't want to share the details. But no, I'm glad there's no recent betrayal. So yay, great.
They have a very good like circle around you.
Yeah, very thankful that I think the older I am, I've really filtered out a lot of bullshit and a lot of people who carries bullshit. And that has really shifted my life. And I now learn, like you say, draw boundaries. When I say draw boundaries, not just saying no, it's knowing what I do not want in my life at all and knowing what I want to get rid of, what I want to eliminate in my life. And that has really shifted the way I live life. And I'm so much happier now than ever. And I wish I knew this earlier. But again, I got here anyway. So I think that's great. Yeah.
I just want to say something. I feel like because I play this game with a lot of people.
Yeah.
And I like get to know a lot of like different people through the game.
Yeah.
Like seeing how you grow like through your story actually is like really crazy because not a lot of people like want to take those steps to confront their feelings and like grow from it. And it's actually crazy hard to do that. And so like hearing your story and seeing your growth is really not easy. So yeah, like that's so much to like be proud of and to applaud. Really.
I still feel awkward and uncomfortable when people say that to me because I feel like I guess I don't see it from a third person point of view how crazy it is, right? Because I was living in it and I was just surviving and I kind of like put everything under the rug where I can. So I forget things very fast. I forget very easily. And sometimes when it's being reminded, that's when I start to process. But thank you for saying that. Yeah, do you want to, is that your last card? Not yet.
I have one more.
Okay, you have one more. You need to take
final,
one more.
final one.
Yeah. No, today is not about me. I want to get to know Shi Qi. But she's asking me questions.
What are some unrealistic expectations you might have on the people closest to you?
Oh, your expectation on others.
Yes.
Okay, tell me.
Ooh.
Hard.
It's hard. I think this is towards my parents.
Yeah.
So I think growing up, I'm close to my parents. My family is quite typical Asian in that sense that I don't go to my parents for any emotional support. Like everything else, they are there. And so like, my parents show love through financially supporting me, putting me through school and those things like that.
Yeah.
And so when I moved, when I finished uni, then I was completely on my own and I moved to KL. It was really hard because I don't know, I wasn't used to the city. I never lived in a city. It's a different lifestyle. I was even in a small town. Even the US is small. And so I think I had this expectation that I would hope that my parents would continue to provide for me. Because in my mind, my parents are providers. They are...
That's their role
correct.
in your life.
And when I dig deeper, because I felt like a brat, like why would I like want that so much? When I dig deeper, it's because I thought that was the way they would love me. So they love me through providing for me.
Yeah.
And because they didn't really give me any kind of provision other than providing for me financially. From my point of view, that's how I felt.
Yeah.
So I was like really just like upset with them. Like why wouldn't you like just help me out a little bit? Like why won't you just, because they want me to be completely independent.
Yeah.
So I realized that it was pretty unrealistic because I was projecting a lot of how I felt towards my parents.
Yeah.
It was a lot of unresolved tension between us.
Yeah.
So one day I just called them and I just like cry. Why would you provide for me? And my dad's like, what the hell? I didn't even know that you need anything. Like, why you never say? In my mind, it's like, I don't want to ask. So like, I'm not going to ask anything from my parents.
So it's just unspoken
I just expect them to like read my mind and know my needs and like know that I felt this way.
Yeah.
But there was no communication. And I feel like it's very typical in families, very typical in our culture. Like I just expect, my parents expect me to read them too.
Yeah.
And so vice versa. Learning to like communicate with my parents is tough because
it's hard.
I never had that kind of communication with them before.
Yeah. Oh my, I can completely relate. Yeah. And the whole don't expect, communicate, it applies to all relationships as well. Especially romantic. Friendship.
Yeah.
Friendship as well, like it really all facets of relationships in our lives, and I also had to learn the hard way. There's so many, I guess, friendship that I've lost because of the lack of communication. Just a ton of expectation from both sides. I can only imagine how hard it is, especially with our parents. Yeah, I think I'm going through that with my mom right now. But like we're just, can you say I love you with your parents?
It's hard.
Oh, it's so
my
hard?
mom like texts me.
Oh, she does?
Only when I started to go to uni, she would text me sometimes.
I mean, I've been apart with my mom like most of my life. And only starting recently, I started to say, end the call with I love you. But my I love you is at a lightning speed one. So just before we finish, okay, mommy, I love you, bye. Then she's like, 什么?没有啦, 没有东西.
So it's still in like awkward phase
still
right
awkward.
now.
I mean, 30 years of my life, I don't think I've said it before.
Right.
Still awkward. Like when I see her in person and I want to say goodbye, I really want to give her a hug. It's so normal, and for me to hug you later, hug Bella, we will say goodbye, so natural. But with my mom, and she also reject me, She's like, 哎呦，你爸我这么不要了，不要了. Yeah, it's just hard. We have to talk about this another day, another episode, like family, generational trauma experiences with our family. But we are coming close to this episode. And I don't have a card, but I have 3 questions that I always ask my guests. So if you don't mind me asking you, what are you currently head over heels for?
Like what am I in love with? Like what am I crazy?
Yeah, anything, Your life, your students, your anything. Could be your new car.
I am kind of like excited for that. I would say a song, like this song is in my head. Yeah.
Can you sing the song?
Oh, I would prefer not to.
Okay, tell us what it is.
It's by Matilda Main. It's not a famous song.
Oh.
I saw it on TikTok and it's called The Day That I Met You. And it's like, the lyrics are so good. It says like, I forgave the world the day that I met you. And it's just like,
I forgave the world
the day that I met you.
Oh
So
my
it's like,
God.
It's like the lyrics are just so powerful. I love words.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I can tell. I can tell. Okay. This one, best or worst advice you've ever received? It could be both. Could be either one.
It's kind of like a question someone asked me that made me really think. And just recently, he said, because I feel like I'm chasing a lot of things, my career, growth, very like growth driven. So like when you achieve all the things that you want to achieve now, will you be happy? And I was like, I don't think so. So it really made me confront like, why am I doing all this? Why am I like chasing so many things? Like, what is the ultimate goal? Am I like, I'm learning that I have to learn to be content.
I love that. And last but not least, 3 words or 3 short sentences to describe your life right now.
Foreign.
Foreign, okay.
It's a little foreign.
That's the first one. Foreign. We've never gotten foreign. It's not easy. I know.
It's like an exam.
Twice. Even if it's not accurate, we wouldn't know. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I know. I'm just like, I just want it to be perfect. Foreign, I think also like very uncertain and independent.
I love that. So foreign, uncertain, but independent. And here's to growth. I'm very excited to see where you will be in the next 1 year. 1 year. Maybe we can have this conversation again. Who knows, right? But is there anything else you want to say? Anything that I didn't manage to ask? Or anything you want to tell your students who could be listening right now or watching this?
My students. Hi, guys. What would I say to my students? I would say, just enjoy your life. Like school time is like the best time. Just have a lot of fun. Study hard. Don't get distracted. But yeah, just like make friends and make good memories.
Yeah, I think I miss school. I really do. Yeah, I was in Sunway Uni today, and I just pretended that I was like a uni student walking in, and I felt like I could fit in. And I remember so vividly, rushing for classes, rushing for assignments, studying for exams. I do miss that, genuinely. And don't take that for granted, guys. If you get to enjoy and experience education today, finish it and go for it. And it's something that you can keep for life. It doesn't end when you graduate. It's for life, right? And with that, we end this episode with what I always say. But first, where can we find you on Instagram? For those of you who have just met Shi Qi. Chewy?
Yes,
How do I spell it?
Qiwii on Instagram. Not Chewy on TikTok.
Oh, it's not Chewy on TikTok. Okay, cool. All right, with that, I just gonna end this with don't forget to fall head over heels for yourself as and always, and we'll see you in the next episode. Also, by the way, guys, I might be away for a bit because your girl's going on a first solo trip.
Wow.
And I'm very excited for that. When I come back, I do want to do an episode on what it's like solo traveling. And that's my birthday present for myself this year. So yeah, bye. See you guys soon.